All right, today I'm going to show you guys the two different ways that I know how to put polo wraps on. I'm doing this because I get questions in the comments all the time about why I have these wraps on. The most common one is typically like with the knee boots, or like, is there something wrong with his knee? And it's just, it's just protective padding, preventative stuff. But the polo wrap thing is something that I see done wrong all the time. I don't know if there's an exact science to it, but I know some of the things you really don't want to have when you're using that polo wrap. Show you the first way that I've seen. When you're using these, you always want to roll towards the back of the horse, okay? And the whole thing is we're trying to get some padding here, but I don't want to put any uneven pressure on this horse's legs, on their tendons, and I don't want to put it too tight. So I'm just going to take this edge here, and I like to go right below the knee, right on the inside of the cannon bone. And then I'll bring this around evenly. Then I'll come around, and I want to have about, I don't know, maybe it's a half an inch from the top to the next roll, or the top of the next roll here. And then I like to give mine a little tug right here, just when I come around and I'm kind of pulling towards the back again, just a little tug to get it snug, so I don't want it to slip. Then I bring it around, being very careful to not get any creases like this, getting it kinked up. That gets that uneven pressure that we're talking about that we don't want. Try to keep this real uniform on the way down. This much distance, pretty close. Doesn't have to be exact, but little tug there, and then right here is where I want to try to go down below that ankle. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of angle down this way. Make sure that wrap is not, that you're still on top of material here. In other words, you don't want to come down like this. So I'm going to go down, come back up. And I like to, as a rule of thumb, try to make a little V right there. So then I know I'm even. And then same thing on the way up. Little tug right there. Make sure everything's flat. I kind of do this with my hand to make sure everything's smooth. And that's almost just right. I'd like that to be a little bit higher right below that knee, for especially the left one, because I normally put a knee boot there, so I want that as high as I can. So there you have it right there. Pretty smooth and easy. I'm not thinking that this polo wrap is providing a bunch of stability for this horse's leg. I think it's just doing a good job of creating a little padding, is what I think more than anything. So now if you're using a knee boot, you'd put that on next and then duct tape it on. I'm not going to use a knee boot today. So another question I'm asked is, why do you guys always tape these wraps? Why don't you just, stop being cheap and buy new polo wraps? Well, yes, that Velcro does wear out a little bit, but we're not doing that because we're trying to save on polo wraps. I'm doing this because with reining horses, they get to knocking themselves and fumbling around, and they will pull that Velcro off. And let me tell you, there is nothing worse than being, in a full gallop, running fast circles, and have somebody screaming, stop, because that polo wrap's, dangling behind the horse. Really, really dangerous situation. And almost every time it happens, you never know it. And then you look down and, it's just not good. So that's the main reason why I do it. The only reason why I do it. Just a little, you don't want a lot of pressure with this. You don't want to put this electrical tape's real stretchy. And these are all things that most folks are going, this is basic, very, very common sense type stuff. But you'd be surprised, somebody thinks, oh, maybe if I pull this tape really, really tight, it'll be better. Well, that's going to really restrict that tendon, those ligaments and, suspensories and stuff back there. You don't want to do that. So just real simple, a couple wraps around and leave it like that. Let me show you this other style of wrapping. Way I was taught as a kid. It's the way I wrap all of mine on the front end. I use that other technique on the back. So I've got this wrap, the center of it, right on the point of that knee, that ball right there. And I've got, I don't know, about 6 to 8 inches of material there. Trying to keep everything real flat and flush. Come around and then just start wrapping just like we did on the other side. Once I get down to that ankle and I make my little V there, now I come back here, drop that flat down, make sure it's smooth. Don't pull it down hard. Just drop it, let it lay nice and smooth, and then work your way back up. What I usually do when I take a wrap, I just take my hand and just come up like this, just to smooth it out. When you finish, it should come all the way back up to the top. Okay, you've seen other styles, which maybe somebody ends up with the Velcro in the middle. I don't think it really matters. You just want to make sure that you have continuity up and down, nice and smooth, not too tight, no wrinkles. Keep practicing on your polo wrap skills, and maybe one day you can be as good as Master Lee.
I doubt it.